prevention, promotion, identification, and intervention. So what are we doing to prevent further problems? What are we doing to promote the things that we want to see? Identifying other concerns and providing interventions. And then really the next step is developing functional participation-based goals and inform evidence-based practices to teach those goals. And so that's what we're going to get into next. So what we want to do is we want to talk about what those mean. So there are 5 components for social emotional goals. Functionality, and we'll go through each one of these. Functionality, generality, instructional context, is it measurable, and is it participation based? So let's talk about functionality. What does that mean? Will the skill increase the child's social and emotional ability to interact with people and objects within the daily environment? Is it functional? Does it serve a purpose and a function? Will the skill help the child become independent, and are the behaviors needed to perform daily routines? Those are important. We don't want to just throw goals at them that don't have a function, right? That don't serve a purpose. We want the child to become more independent and be able to perform daily routines. And is the goal directly linked to a caregiver concern? One of the big differences between an IFSP, which is for children under the age of 3, is that IFSP stands for Individualized Family Support Plan. Bless you. When the child turns 3, then the child moves to an IEP. So that was your case with Casey, is he's getting ready to move from an IFSP to an IEP. An IEP looks different. It is an individualized education plan. So the difference, the main difference, is that an IFSP is a family support plan. It really is supporting what are those families' needs. That child might not be able to talk. And it might be a focus for a speech therapist who says we really need to provide some interventions. And the family says, I just need to be able to go to the grocery store and not have a meltdown and have to leave without my groceries. And that might be a goal of the family, and in an IFSP, that's allowed. If that is a goal of the family and a support that we can provide them. Doesn't mean we're not going to provide some speech therapy too, but we really are going to provide focus for the family's needs. Once the child is 3, an IEP only serves the purpose of educational needs. So if going to the grocery store without throwing a fit doesn't serve an educational need, it can no longer be a goal on an IEP. It's one of the reasons early intervention is so key for families, because we can provide a lot more support to families in what they need if the child's under 3. Once they turn 3, it's only based on, will this help this child be successful in school? So, is the goal directly linked to a caregiver concern? It could be a teacher's concern, or it could be a family's concern, depending on the age. Generality. So what does that mean? Does the skill represent a general concept related to social emotional development? Can the skill be generalized across a variety of settings, materials, or people? If it is so specific, I just need this child to do this in Block Center, it's not general enough. That doesn't serve a general purpose that the child's going to then be able to take that skill across multiple areas. We want the goals to be able to serve a purpose that it's going to support them everywhere, not just in one itty-bitty specific thing. And will the skill help children learn how to modify their responses as settings, objects, peoples, and conditions change? So when you have the child that overreacts at any kind of correction or discipline, we want that skill, we want to teach that skill and be able to have them modify that response across any setting, not just at school or not just at home, but across those settings. Is it teaching them a skill that they then can apply? Oh, let's take some deep breaths and calm our body for a second. That could be used anywhere, right? That's a good goal. Instructional context. So can the skill be taught in a way that reflects a manner in which the skill will be used in daily environments? So is it a school, or is it a goal that will really be used on a regular basis in your environment daily? And can the skill be elicited easily by a caregiver, whether that be a parent or a teacher, during activities and routines? So it has to be something that we can teach intentionally and then access easily. Measurable. We have to be able to know if they've done it and if they've completed it. Can the skill be seen or heard, and can it be counted? So the skill might be making eye contact. How many times does a child make eye contact in a 5-minute period? The skill might be how many times do they ask for help. It has to be measurable, that we have to be able to count it. We have to know when it's happening. If we don't know when it's happening, then it can't be counted or measured. Participation focused. The application needs to apply to all children. Ensure the context in which the skill is needed is emphasized. It is not the discrete skill that's important, but that it ensures participation in a home, school, or community setting. So it needs to be something that the child can do and can do across the board. And does it promote teaching in contextually relevant, meaningful activities or routines? If we're teaching a skill that's not relevant to a child and can't be taught in activities and routines, you can't just sit and lecture a child on how to do something, right? They have to be able to do it. They have to be able to see it in action, to be able to repeat it, to do it, and to do it in their natural environment in ways that it just naturally is going to come up. There are lots of opportunities for a child to learn how to calm themselves down, right? But you wouldn't just sit at the table. How many of you have had a significant other in your life that just says, calm down? Has that ever helped anyone calm down? Because it doesn't work for me. It makes me even more angry.
How about you're okay?
You're okay. Do I look okay? I am crying. I am not okay. This is not what okay looks like when I'm crying. So if we're just sitting and telling a child to calm down, we're not teaching them how to calm down. It has to be participation focused. We have to show them, we have to be able to teach them and show them and then give them opportunities to do it over and over and over again without just saying calm down. Alright, so the next step is that we are going to write functional participation-based outcomes. So we're going to assess the functionality and development. What does the child need in order to be engaged, independent, hey, that was not nice, independent and social in everyday routines and activities. We're going to examine the concern and the informal outcomes. We're going to determine routines that are involved, and then we're going to write some goals. So we're going to write blank child, so I'm going to pick on Ella. Ella will participate in what routine by, what is she going to do in order to participate, and then add a measurable piece. How will we know when Ella is doing it? It has to be measurable, right? So we will know this when he or she does work. And we're going to practice it. Add a generalization criteria, so the extent to which the child will demonstrate the behavior across time, places, people, situations, or materials. Add a specific amount of time. So is it in 1 week, in 1 month, over a 3-month period? That's going to look different for the child. And then consider fluency and maintenance. So can they perform the skill smoothly and rapidly, or can they do it for a reasonable amount of time? And I'm going to show you some examples. So the resulting goal identifies a skill that's essential for participating in the child's daily routines, specifies exactly what the child will do. It has to be very specific. Identify the context in which it will happen. Is it important? Does it matter? Is it relevant? Does it matter? Is it important to the child, to the parents, to the teacher? And is it measurable? So things to consider: is it clear and professionally written? Does it have active language? Does it have positive language? Because we're not going to say the child will not say no. That's not what we want a goal to be. We want to say the child will do something, right? It's not that the goal isn't about what we don't want them to do, it's about what we want them to do instead, right? Because if we don't like what a child's doing, we have to teach them a replacement behavior. That's why we say use walking feet instead of no running. Because we want them to know we should use our walking feet. We don't want to just tell them no running, no stop, don't. So is it active language? Is it positive language? Is it relevant contextually? And is it participation focused? We're not going to lecture children at a table. So let's look at some examples. So the first one is a goal around independence. Luke, who is 3, will participate in breakfast, lunch, and dinner by feeding himself independently. We will know he can do this when he uses his hands to pick up a spoon, to put at least 10 bites of soft food in his mouth at each meal for 1 week. Very specific, right? Very. But it's across multiple times of day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's specific on how he's going to do it. It uses active language. He's going to pick up his spoon. He's going to put 10 bites, so it's measurable, right? And it's over a period of time. We're not just going to say, oh, he did it 1 day. Alrighty, it's mastered, right? Does that make sense? Is it a little more clear? Because you're going to practice. And then the second one is a social interaction goal. So Keenan, who's 9 months, will participate in meals, playtime, and routines such as diapering, bath time, and waking up by looking at caregivers and babbling. We will know he can do this when he looks at a caregiver and babbles 3 times during 5 activities per day for 1 week. That's a lot of measuring, right? That's a lot of tally marks to whether it happened. But it's very specific. It's over the course of a day. It gives that child lots of opportunities to do it, right? If you think of how many times they're waking up and diapering at 9 months and eating meals and playing, lots of opportunities. The next one is a social emotional goal. Anybody know how to say her name? How do you say it? Shali. Sahali. Shali is 5. She will calm herself when she's upset by taking 3 deep breaths during an upsetting event, when she has to perhaps share a computer or trains or a swing or can't have more snack. There are lots of times the child is apparently upset when they have to line up to go home. We will know she can do that when she takes 3 deep breaths and remains calm during 3 upsetting events for 5 consecutive days. Make sense? The last one, participation goal. Jorge, who is 4, will participate in group activities by singing, imitating movements, taking a turn, commenting to a peer or adult, and engaging with materials. We'll know he can do this when he participates for 10 whole minutes in circle time, snack time, table time, and story time for 3 days over a week. Makes sense? Very specific, but also very measurable and over the course of time. All right, so we are going to take a quick break. We're going to take a potty break, and then we'll come back. We'll kind of look at a couple of goals. You're going to tell me if they're good goals or not good goals, and then we're going to actually practice by doing goals with our children in our vignettes.